Alright, today's Friday, which means I answer a question in about 5 minutes. The question today was, I had mentioned that I had made guitars. Could I elaborate? Yes. In 2003, I had decided that I wanted to make my own line of bass guitars. I'm actually a bass player for the most part, so I wanted a bass line of bass guitars. So what I did is I built a prototype. I sent that prototype to China, to a factory called Kaohsiung. That's who I picked. And then basically they sent me a prototype back, their product back. I signed off on it when it was right, and we manufactured them. About 300 of the basses. Now, I would also do some limited work on some production models that were not made in there, but most of them are going to be made overseas in China. The main reason is the same reason everybody does today. The cost to do so was exponentially less because you don't have to rent space, you don't have to buy machinery, you don't have to employ people, and you're really just trying to prove a concept at this point. Now, I don't own any more of the instruments. So that kind of brings up the second point, which is interesting. This is what it was shaped like. This is the Zula Bass. It's a very interesting shape. Oops, like that. That I made, and it was designed to ergonomically hold itself in a perfect playing position for bass players, and that was something I always just thought would be cool and fun and give me a niche. And then I made other things, like I made this mini Mockingbird. This is a mini Mockingbird. I made this for my son. This is the old Mcknight logo, which had Mcknight with a shamrock there. I don't know why I used a shamrock, but there I did. And so this is the mini. I still have this one because my son has this one, so I took it from his room. Because it's one of the few things I still have from that company. And if you guys own out there a Zula Bass, Z-U-L-A, which is that bass by Mcknight, post a comment about it, or you know what, I might be interested in buying one if there's one out there for sale. I come across them every once in a while, and the guitars too. I made a good amount of them, probably about 1,500 of the basses. So you can imagine that's a good amount out there. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. For a small company, that's a lot to put out, even for a mid-price instrument. So basically what would happen is I would have them manufacture the guitars, buy the guitars. They would ship them in a container. I'd have a custom broker bring them into the US, deliver them, and then every day when I come home from work, I would pull them out of a box and set up the ones that were going to be sold. You know, polish the frets, put new strings on, make sure they played amazing, put them back in the box, seal them up, and ship them out to the dealer or the customer I was selling them to, some dealers and some customers. And I did that for quite a while. Now, what happened was I decided I liked that so much that I started opening a store. So I opened a store. The store was a musical guitar store, not a store for my instruments. What happened though is that a lot of people started thinking that that's what I was doing. I was just selling my instruments out of my store because I did carry them. And that was going to have a negative effect on the store in the long term, because who would want to go to a store that only sells their product? So I stopped selling my instruments altogether, because of that fear. And I thought, well, maybe we'll come back to it. The problem now is that everybody usually does this now. There's a lot of competitors in the market now for those kind of instruments. So it's not a big deal. And if I wanted to bring it back, obviously I could always bring it back, but I'm never gonna. So that's how that's gonna work. So that's what I did. Now, obviously I built guitars and I built other stuff too, and I built instruments. That's not my really passion though, and that's really the other problem too, was I've always felt this connection to guitars and basses and just wanted to be around them. And so I thought manufacturing would be the way to connect that way. And no, that's not it. It was fun, right? But not it. I like this. I like just talking about guitars. That's what I'd rather do all day. Just talk about guitars, play them, and joke about guitars, and talk about guitar players. So I've created a business where I can do that pretty much. Although I still have to work just as hard as the other company. At least the reward is I get to interact with people in a different way. So that's how I did that, which is not very exciting, I hate to say. But I hope that answers the question. Other things I thought might be interesting is this. So the question might be, oh, well, what does it cost to do something like that? My initial investment was $14,000. That's what it took to manufacture the instruments, include the custom broker in on it, because you have to pay somebody to get them here. You know, when you make instruments overseas, then they are there, they're done. They build them and they send you an email and they say, they're here, come get them. So you have to have somebody bring them in here. So you usually will hire a customs broker, somebody who will handle all the shipping to make sure they get through here, get through customs, get landed, and do that stuff. And because you're a small company and you're in China, they're not doing any quality assurance. So like I said, you will be fixing a lot of guitars. In fact, what you end up doing is some are just dead. So you'll take those apart and use whatever parts you can to make other ones better and keep improving the process. So, all right, guys, I hope that was the answer to the question. Thank you for your time. Know your gear.